This is going to be part 1 of a 3-part video series, as I talk about each and every weight class that was contested at the 2024 Paris Olympics. Yep, all 18 of them. I'll talk about the winners, how they won, and I'll talk about other stuff that's going on within that weight class. Since this is quite a lot, I'll be splitting this whole thing into 3 parts. This one covering the 6 men's Greco-Roman weight classes, another one covering the 6 women's freestyle weight classes, and the last one covering 5 out of the 6 men's freestyle weight classes for reasons I'll get into when I get there. Anyways, on to the wrestling. Going into this tournament, there was this idea that after Fumita lost the Tokyo Olympic finals, he stopped being this explosive, risky wrestler that went for highlight reel throws but also lost important matches. Then instead became a risk-averse, overly defensive wrestler that was only focused on pushing and moving forward and not throwing, but his loss to Bekov in the 2023 World Finals showed that his defense still had far too many cracks to rely on fully. Fumita said in an interview with UWW before the Olympics that he was going to bring out both aspects of himself and not limit his wrestling, and it worked magnificently. He tech-falled his first 2 opponents, something he didn't even do at the 2023 Worlds against weaker competition, showing off his offense and big 4-point moves that he was known for early in his career. Against Bekov in the semifinal, he utilized both his offense and his defense, being defensively minded enough not to give up much, but when the moment presented itself, he used his throwing power to expose Bekov's back to the mat with what might have been the fastest lat drop I've seen in my life. Whereas in their previous meeting in the 2023 World Championship Finals, Fumita couldn't throw Bekov on his back at all, even though he tried multiple times to do so. He then, after that throw, stayed good enough defensively to hang on against one of the most aggressive wrestlers in the division, whereas in their last meeting, Fumita got thrown on his back twice and rolled once. Then in the final, he hit an extremely nice gut wrench from parterre against Cao Guo of China, before using the iron defense both in standing and parterre that he had focused on since the Tokyo loss to win him the match, and bring home Japan's first Olympic gold in Greco-Roman wrestling since 1984. All things considered, this was a complete Fumita, a true Fumita 3.0, and I'm excited to see what he does next. Sayed Esmaili may well be the most aggressive Greco-Roman wrestler on the planet right now, which is his greatest strength and biggest weakness. Esmaili is usually the most likely wrestler to tech-fall his opponents with either takedowns or huge 4- and 5-point throws, but he also is the most likely wrestler to lose a lead due to his lack of defensive awareness while he's pushing for points in a style where wrestlers almost never lose a lead once they have it. Either way, his matches are pretty entertaining to watch, and even though he won, this Olympics was no exception. After winning his first match, he then went up against Luis Orta in a rematch of a match where Esmaili was winning by 2 late, turned his back to celebrate, but Orta ran up behind him and threw him for 4 to steal the win at the last possible second. This time, though, Esmaili left no doubt and 8-0 tech-falled the Olympic champion. Then came his semifinal match against Slavik Galistan of Armenia, and at 6 feet 3 inches, Esmaili easily picked him up due to Galistan's high center of gravity as soon as he had a body lock, and put the Armenian on his back. But after the Armenian squirmed out of a pin, the Iranian went for a gut wrench while Galistan was on his back. This turned out to be a mistake, as Galistan reversed the position and pinned Esmaili in a fairly big upset. Fortunately for Esmaili, he was ruled out of bounds after a challenge, but then Galistan head and arm through him to keep himself in the match to end the first period. Esmaili then locked down the match going into the second period, but the match really showed that Esmaili is often his own worst enemy, going for broken situations where he really shouldn't. Then came the final against Ukraine's Paris Nazarov, reigning Olympic silver medalist, where Nazarov arm-dragged Esmaili for a takedown, then won a passivity call in the first to lead at the break 3-0. Esmaili did the exact same thing in the second, tying the score, Then Nazarov got another arm drag for 2, but then went for a parterre lift from a rather awkward position, and Ismaili stepped over and reversaled Nazarov to his back for 2. One lost challenge later, Ismaili ended up winning Olympic gold 6-5. Overall, Ismaili had an incredible run using his strength and power to overwhelm and outscore his opponents, but his defense is a clear weakness. If he can get that fixed, though, he's young enough to dominate this weight class or any other weight class he decides to go into for years to come. "77 kilos might have been the most up-in-the-air weight class in the Olympics, but still, I really shouldn't have doubted Nao Kusaka. He was, after all, the number 1 seed heading in, and he had been keeping active since Worlds 2023 with 3 tournaments since then, including the Asian Championships, where he beat reigning 2-time world champion Aksal Makhmudov. When I was thinking about who would win this Olympics, I just put too much focus on Worlds 2023. In that tournament, he got bronze, and so I just assumed that he wouldn't really win at all. But he did, giving Japan their second Greco-Roman Olympic gold in as many days, including Fumita. Going into the final, I thought Zadraev would emerge victorious, as he had beaten Makhmudov and Suleimanov, the gold and silver medal winners of the weight class in 2023. But no, I can't predict the Greco match for anything, and it was Kusaka that won it all. But before that, the bronze medal matches, man. Those matches were some of the best and most exciting Greco matches of the tournament. Unfortunately, though, I can't really talk about it because I can't show it due to NBC's absurd content policy, and I can't not show anything because empty space equals bad. But they were really fun to watch. Sucks that no one will ever be able to see it, though. If all Greco-Roman matches were like that, then I'd like the style a lot more than I like freestyle. And while the gold match wasn't as exciting as the bronze medal matches that preceded it, it wasn't boring by any means. Zadraev got a passivity point and a push-out to lead at the break. Then Kusaka won a passivity call and got a throw that was barely worth 4 from neutral, and then held on for Olympic gold. From not winning an Olympic gold in 40 years to winning 2 in as many days, this has been a frankly incredible meet for them. Semen Novikov did a really good job all throughout the tournament, winning his first 2 matches without too much issue, then beating one of the 2 reigning world champions, David Lozkonzi, 3-1. I was pretty surprised by that, though, as Novikov got teched by Lozkonzi in the 2023 semis, but then again, I really need to stop just looking at 2023 Worlds. There have been so many rematches won by the loser of those matches, and as I keep having to relearn, no matter how dominant one wrestler might have been on one night before, anything can happen on the mat. After being down 1-0 at the break, Novikov got a passivity point, then gut-wrenched Lozkonzi and held on. Very typical Greco match at the heavier weights. The final, on the other hand, wasn't typical at all. In Mohammadi of Iran, Novikov got a passivity point that managed to turn the Iranian for 2. Then, in the second, Novikov was awarded another passivity point, which is really rare in Greco. Normally the ref pretty much gives the person who didn't get a point in the first a point in the second no matter what, but Novikov was just being, so dominant, the ref decided to give Novikov the passivity point as the more active wrestler. Then Novikov got 3 more push-outs, 2 of which were nearly takedowns to win 7-0. Very impressive by the Ukrainian who now represents Bulgaria. His mat control is really, really good, otherwise he wouldn't be getting double passivity points. And his defense is excellent, as he only gave up a single offensive move all tournament, and only one of his matches, the one against Lozkonzi, were within a takedown of losing. He may well have one of the best defenses in all of Greco-Roman, quite frankly, outside of the super heavyweights, that is. I just want to put some context behind the finals match of this weight class, and specifically what Mohammad Saravi did against Artur Alexanian of Armenia. Alexanian's parterre offense is, without a doubt, the best at the weight class. It's been his best and most consistent offense. It's how he wins matches against tough opponents, such as when he rolled Murtazaliev in this year's European Championship final to get a lead to force Murtazaliev to make a mistake for Alexanian to then secure a win. Like Mihan Lopez Nunez, a weight class above him, nobody can stop Alexandrian's gut wrench. And if his opponents can't score otherwise, then Alexandrian wins. I'm saying all of this to show and really just give some context into how impressive it was that in the 97 kilo final, Muhammad Sarawi of Iran stopped Alexandrian's parterre gut wrench in the first period. Alexandrian nearly took him over, but Sarawi held on and the ref was forced to put the match back on the feet. As soon as he did that, I knew it was pretty much over. Alexandrian has never been known for his takedowns, and Sarawi's defense was rock solid all tournament. Then, with the second period passivity point going in Sarawi's favor, giving the Iranian the tiebreak, I seriously doubted Alexandrian could rally. And then Sarawi got that snap down, leading into a takedown over a desperate Alexandrian, sealing the gold medal. After that, Alexandrian had no chance, and then it was over, and Sarawi became an Olympic champion. Now, Alexandrian has 2 Olympic silvers after his Rio gold. Ouch. Something else I want to mention is Alexandrian's conduct during the medal ceremony. Taking off the silver medal as soon as he got it and storming out of the medal ceremony prematurely is a terrible look for both Alexandrian and his country of Armenia. I don't think he was doing it necessarily to disrespect Sarawi. I think he was more just saying, if it wasn't gold, it doesn't matter. But still, taking off your medal in front of a live audience is a horrible look, and storming out makes you look like you're being ungrateful and throwing a temper tantrum. His actions, I think, have lost him a lot of goodwill from wrestling fans, myself included, quite frankly. I know I've talked a lot about Alexandrian, but good job to Sarawi, too. He deserves the Olympic gold. He had an impressive run, not giving up a single offensive point all tournament, and when that includes being able to defend Alexandrian's gut run successfully, that's no mean feat. Next, the weight class that everyone around the world either is talking about or should be talking about. 130 kilo Greco-Roman. But before talking about Mihan Lopez Nunez and his historic performance, I just want to talk about how Adam Kuhn of the US got the worst draw ever. Due to a randomized seeding if unseeded, he drew Amir Mirzazadeh round 1, the defending 2023 world champion, in a match where Kuhn was expected to have no hope and lose horribly. Then, the winner would probably have wrestled Lopez, one of the best ever, who was randomly seeded due to the fact he hadn't wrestled since the Tokyo Olympic Finals, in a match where Mirzazadeh was expected to lose, meaning that Kuhn would not get a chance to wrestle in the rep charge to make a run there. And minus the fact that Kuhn actually wrestled Mirzazadeh fairly close, 3-1, that's exactly what happened. Yeah, random seeding can be brutal. Anyways, Mihan Lopez Nunez just became the oldest Olympic wrestling champion in history at 41 years old and won his 5th Olympic gold medal, winning in Beijing 2008, London 2012, Rio 2016, Tokyo 2021, and now Paris 2024. That is just absurd in a sport where if you're in your mid-30s, you don't have much a chance of doing well. Lopez, at nearly 42 years old, won the most prestigious tournament in the sport. That also makes him the only athlete in Olympic history to win 5 gold medals in the same event. Not just unique in wrestling, the only one in the history of the Olympics. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. He hasn't lost in 9 years since 2015 Worlds, and absolutely put on a clinic of how to wrestle Greco-Roman against his former countryman and training partner Yasmani Acosta, winning 6-0. I'll admit, when I heard that Lopez was making a return for Paris, I didn't think Lopez could do it. I thought if Mirzazadeh couldn't beat him, then somebody else could. But nobody can win at 41. Not with how competitive wrestling is these days, I thought, and also he's just been so inactive, nobody's seen him wrestle in years. But he showed up, and his offense hadn't lost a step. And at 6 foot 5 inches and 285 pounds, mostly lean, he proved me and everyone else who doubted him wrong, as he beat everybody, including wrestlers that were decades younger than him, in his way to become Olympic champion for the 5th consecutive time. It's also astounding just how simple his game plan is, and how even while his opponents know exactly what he'll do to them, try as they might, they cannot stop him. They'll know he'll try to win the first passivity call for 1 point, get them to the ground, and then put his enormous arms around their waist, bury his head on the left side of their back, then gut-wrench them left for 2, and then spend the rest of the first period and all of the second getting push-outs if and when they become possible. It's how he wins every match, that exact step-by-step strategy. But even knowing this, the other wrestlers cannot stop him. Part of this is because of his physical attributes. He's taller than almost all of his opponents, and though they might weigh the same or similar to him, Lopez has so much more muscle than them, it's astonishing. Out of every heavyweight Greco match I saw when he was wrestling, nobody was bigger than him. Unlike his opponents, he was 285 pounds of almost pure muscle, while his opponents had a lot of non-functional fat on them in order to fill out the weight class. Lopez was just bigger and stronger, and in super heavyweight Greco-Roman, combine those two attributes with experience and defensive soundness, that's enough to win against anybody. That's what he did. Beat anybody and everybody. After winning his 5th Olympic gold, he left his shoes on the mat as a sign of retirement, and now he can ride off into the sunset and be remembered as an absolute legend for Cuba. And as for the rest of the world, they will, or at least should, remember him as the greatest Olympic athlete who ever lived. Anyways, that's it for this video. Hopefully I can get the other ones edited now within a month of me posting this one. Granted, no one will see this, so really I'm just talking to the void on this one. But if I'm wrong, and somebody actually does watch this video, I guess please consider subscribing, or commenting, or liking. It would mean a lot to me to know that someone, somewhere, actually cares about random projects like this that I put a lot of hours into for no real reward.